So men that are trying to heal from their corn addiction or the fact that they've cheated on their partner really struggle with this when they're trying to rebuild trust and intimacy with you as their partner, and I want to talk about it. So when men are trying to rebuild the trust and intimacy back in their relationship and they go to their wives and they ask this question, what do you need from me? What can I do? What can I do to love you better? What can I do to rebuild this? And ultimately the wives respond with, you should just know how to fix this. I was like, oof, I remember the days when I felt that way and I would say that. And one of the things that my therapist walked me through was like, Eileen, he's not a mind reader. He doesn't know what's going through your brain. He's probably trying to identify new things about you. You're trying to identify things about yourself, like what your love language is, how you feel loved, going, deep into your insecurities and the deep wounds of your heart. And so this is why I tell women a lot of times, like, if you want the relationship to work, if there's any part of you that wants it to work, your healing is just as important as their recovery, because you have to learn how to identify and communicate your own feelings. But if you're staying with someone who's trying to find sobriety from corn addiction, that prefrontal cortex of his brain is healing. His brain is healing. And so before Discovery Day, while he was stuck in corn addiction, his brain, the CEO of his brain essentially is detached. That's where empathy and impulse control is on all those different things. But men in general are not mind readers, right? You're not a mind reader either, but men are in general not mind readers. Well, on top of that, you're with someone recovering from corn addiction, and so he's absolutely not a mind reader. There's no way, shape, or form he's catching your hints, that, he's picking up on signs. He's missing a lot of things, and that's going to happen for a little while until his brain starts to heal. So right now, if you truly want the marriage to work, the best thing that you can do is start communicating what it is that you expect and need from him. I know automatically most of you are going to come at me with like honesty, vulnerability, right? But past that, what are some things that you need from him? Communicating what it is you actually want and need from these men is so important. If it's something like, I would like you to bring me flowers, I would like you to take me on more dates, I would like you to pay more attention to our teenagers. And men, if you're watching this, you need to listen to what your wife is telling you. Ultimately, men, you can do 4 things. So wives, if you want to share this with your husbands, you can. I think women, if I had to boil it down to 4 things, this is what they want. Number 1, they want you to be calm. Don't get angry. Don't get hysterical. Don't spiral and pretend that you're like a weak person. Be calm. There's a lot of strength in being calm in really chaotic emotional situations. Be calm in those moments. Doesn't mean you can't communicate your feelings, men, but try and be calm. If you get angry, that's only going to affirm to her, I'm not safe. 2, try not to dissociate and be avoidant and go off in another room and leave her alone. Right now, as a woman, she feels completely isolated and alone. Even if you, as women, the betrayed, are going off in a room and being alone, I can pretty much guarantee most of you want to be pursued back. If you don't, be very, very honest that you don't want to be pursued at this time and you just need some space, and that you guys can connect at a later time as soon as you're able to process things. But 3, you want them to be vulnerable, which is ultimately honesty. But vulnerability is different than honesty, because vulnerability is sharing your heart and your feelings. So men, you can say things like, I feel like I'm going through, be honest. And women, if you truly want vulnerability, you have to be honest in saying you want that. Because I think a lot of women lie when they say they want this, because men, when they come to you and they're vulnerable, women interpret that as weakness. And so if you truly want the marriage to work, the women who do a lot of work on themselves learn to be a safe place for their husband's heart. And when he has a good day and a bad day, when he has a good emotion and a bad emotion, when he's tempted, when he's trying to resist that temptation, or sometimes even when he's honest and he has to tell you he's had a relapse. But can you be a safe place for your husbands if they choose to be vulnerable? But I think honestly what we need is that vulnerability. It would be, so most of the women I work with, they're like, I'd much rather him be honest with me than lie to me. It is hard. I still have to heal when he's vulnerable with me, but I'd rather have that than the lying, right? So step 3 for men is vulnerability. Number 4 is going to be reassurance. So a lot of times when women are like, I'm done with the relationship, or we're spiraling and we're crying and we're hysterical and we're going through a lot of grief, we need reassurance. Most of the men in our lives have abandoned us, deserted us, communicated things like that were ugly, made us feel like we were unlovable, a lot of these different types of emotions, right? And so the corn addiction or the infidelity only confirms that deep inner pain. So when women are trying to heal from this, we really need reassurance that you're not going anywhere, that you're going to put in the effort and the work, and that you mean that. Not that you're just saying it, but you mean it. And ultimately, I think, women, we're done with words. We want to see action. We need to see consistency. So this isn't something you're going to prove to her in a week, in a month. It may take 6 months of consistency, sometimes even a year of consistency for her to see that, wow, he's actually putting in the work and he's progressing. But ultimately, the work that you do now as men, it doesn't stop, it continues. But for women listening to this video, please try to be honest with your husbands and mean what it is that you say. If you want him to be vulnerable, mean it. Understand what it is you're asking for. You're asking for him to tell you, hey, I had a bad day. I was tempted to look at corn, but I did my best to resist it. And I'm struggling with so much guilt today and shame. What a lot of women are shocked by when I say this is like, his shame, the level of shame that these men feel on a scale of 1 to 10 is a 10. And it's very similar to women on a scale of 1 to 10. How traumatized are you? And dealing with betrayal trauma and the pain of that. And it's a 10. Both of you are in pain, and both of you are trying to navigate a way out of this pain. But there is hope beyond betrayal, and there is hope of healing, and there is hope of rebuilding the intimacy and trust in your relationship. So women, try to be honest, and those 4 tips that I gave, I think will really help men do that in the relationship.